We will start with a very quick PowerPoint, and we will start right from here. You must be seeing a blank uh,
Yes,
page in front of you.
correct.
I wanna update you a little bit about COVID-19 and Omicron in city of Glendale, and the data that I have is directly from city of Glendale itself. Today, we have at least 138,000 Glendalians that are vaccinated, at least once, right? And this is the number that the city has provided for us. Uh, the percentage of the population that is vaccinated is about 70%, which is pretty good. When this city manager, Ruby Glanian, was appointed as city manager back in May of 2021, we were at about 42, 43%. So this city has done a very good job in getting its population or motivating its population to become vaccinated. Look, this is serious stuff. Please be careful out there. Please do everything in your power not to catch it. I mean, if you can go through your life without catching this thing, is I'm sure you will agree it's preferable. So I thought I would give you this update, and this is again directly from the dashboard from the city of Glendale, and you can check it yourself if you wish to in the future. Now, the issue that I want to talk to you about is a couple of stuff that has become law starting January 1st of 2022. One of them is the balcony safety inspection, by the way. It's under the Health Code 17973, which says that any multi-unit building, three and up, has to be inspected if they have stairways, if they have balconies, and if they have walkways, right? That is attached or protruded from the outside, protruding from outside of the building. And you know, in city of Glendale, we have a garden variety of these apartments that were built in 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and a lot of them have these walkways and stairways and so forth that are wooden. The health and safety code suggests that starting this year, this thing has to be on the radar of the owners, and you as realtors can always advise your owners to actually check this and make sure that they are in compliance. Now, this is going to be rolling gradually in. So the first inspection has to be done uh, at least by 2025. And every 6 years, that inspection has to be conducted by an engineer or an architect. And if you remember, the reason that this happened, by the way, was that in Berkeley back in 2015, a balcony collapsed and killed 6 students, I believe. And this is one of the reasons why this law was instituted, so to say. So that's one update that you need to be aware of. I'd like to also talk about another health and safety update, and that is that if you're a landlord or if you do have a client that is a landlord, they have to provide their prospective resident and or new tenants a book about the mold and dampness. And I've sent a copy of that. I've emailed it to Robert as well as David. That will probably be on our website. This was, by the way, brought to my attention by one of our own members, the Maniscalchi brothers. They sent me this thing about 7 or 8 days ago. I thought that it would be kicking in later, but I was wrong, and it is effective as of January 1st, 2022. Pardon me. So be aware of this and do let your clients and or yourselves be cognizant of the fact that this is a requirement now. And now I've sent, as I said, the brochure to Robert and David. They will post it for you, and they will probably put it in the chat for you. So that's the second important thing. Now, if you remember back in 2016, you may not remember it, and this I'm talking about composting now. Assembly Bill 1383 was passed, and the reason that it was passed is because the legislator wanted to do something about methane, the gas that is generated in our landfills, and that contributes to greenhouse gas effects, and it's environmentally not a very good. It's a heavy, dirty gas. And starting 2021, again, January 1st, 2021, again, this is being rolled out slowly, right? The cities have to comply with the state law, which means the cities have to provide you with bins that you see on the right-hand side of your thing, like the one from Berkeley, and or pails at this time, kitchen pails, so you can actually put all of your food waste in it, not in a nylon bag that we're used to and trash it, but in a bin, and then the city will start collecting it. Of course, the reason for that is because again, it's a matter of environmental or climate issue that this needs to be addressed. We know that we have the Shoal Canyon, for example, in the city of Glendale that started or got just was approved for by the council to do a biogas system in there in order to take the methane and burn it within combustible engines, small engines, and to turn it into electricity. And that project, by the way, in the city of Glendale would generate electricity for at least 20,000 homes. I think it's between 15 and 20,000 homes. So that's a good thing. And the reason behind this composting law is just that. Now, undoubtedly, this will increase the trash hauling cost, as if we haven't seen that already in the city. And most of these cost increases are because of this legislative requirements statewide. This is why the cities have to comply with these legislations, and this is exactly one of the reasons why our costs are going up. Again, the idea is to keep the landfills clean and to be able to separate the food and to be able to compost the food. Now, we've talked about the LA transfer tax proposal in the last presentation that I gave you. And this is a documentary tax that the city of LA wants to institute in the city of LA. And of course, there is precedent for it. Berkeley has done it, Oakland has done it, and Culver City in Southern California has done it. And they believe that they will generate somewhere close to about $800 million for homeless or addressing the unhoused and affordable housing. And of course, this is an ordinance that is being proposed in the city of Los Angeles, not the county. That's a totally different story, and we'll talk about that in the next presentations that we'll make for you. Now, you have to understand that the tax increases that are initiated by citizen groups does not need 2/3 of voters' approval. All it needs is half, and that was actually made possible by ruling by the state Supreme Court years back. The other thing that I want to share with you is we have talked about the gross domestic product. I've shown you what our gross domestic product is. You as realtors, what do you contribute to our economy? If you remember, we shared with you the impact of realtors on the economy in the city of Glendale and so forth. But I thought this is a tidbit of interesting statistics for you. You know by now that Los Angeles County is the largest county in the United States, 40 million or so residents. You also know that it's the number one. Now you know it's the number one county in its GDP number. LA County has produced somewhere close to about $660 billion in economic activity or gross domestic product in 2021. Now, this, by the way, is after a decline of 6.3%. So we live in the largest county, perhaps the most economically active and viable county in the state in the United States. In fact, if LA County was a country, it would have been the 20th largest or the 25th largest economy in United States. Much have been said about the Glendale and its population. And I've always shared this with you, and I've always told you that what you think and where you actually stand on issues like this depends on where you sit. But I want to give you, we are, as Mark Twain said, we are entitled to our own opinions, but not our own facts. So I want to share some, very quickly, some data with you. So when somebody approaches you and says, well, Glendale is going through the roof, the population, we don't want so many people and so forth, you will be able to intelligently respond back to them. According to the census tract numbers, in 2010, the population of Glendale was 191,700 people. In 2020 census that was just released, right? Our population went up by about 4,800 people. This is within 10 years, folks, right? Now, that's a modest increase of approximately 480 people every year. That's 40 a month. So next time when you hear that Glendale's population is going through the roof and we don't have space and we don't want any more population growth and so forth, you have data that has just shed some light on that for you. With that, President Eric Toro concludes my presentation. As always, I've tried to be very, very quick and to give you information that is useful to you, and I will be able to answer any questions if there are any.
So if you have any questions, hopefully you all know how to use the reactions down at the bottom on my screen at the bottom. You can raise your hand. Do we have any raised hands? No?
Carmen, and then Ira, and then Mr. Napolitano.
I believe Ira had raised his hand first.
Okay,
so
Ira.
I'll let him go.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you, Greg. A couple of questions. On the dampness and mold booklet, the way your slide read, it says it has to be given to prospective residents. That almost suggests that every applicant is supposed to get a book, even though they may not become a tenant.
Right.
So that is correct. So if you submit an application, even as part of the consideration, you must be given this booklet.
Well, okay, got it. Now I know what you mean. So the answer is I don't know.
Okay.
However, being the really conservative person in issues like this, I give it to everyone, including my brother-in-law, right? If he passes by my apartment. So that's my view on this stuff.
So maybe Rick Bognati knows, is this going to booklet different than anything we have? And if it is it going to be part of the EPUB's library? I guess we don't.
So I don't know. I mean, we have enough literature in our offers and so forth, in our rental agreements and so forth from CAR. What I'm sharing with you is a 2-page pamphlet. I don't know if Robert or David have already posted it on the chat, but there is a link in that 2-page that if you press on, it will take you to the
okay. Okay, and the second item that I had regarding the composting, my understanding is each jurisdiction is going to set up their own procedures for that, but who the hell is going to be going through the garbage to see if you're violating the rules? Or is this a job creating?
That's going to be a very well-paid job.
$150,000 a year to go check out the trash.
And so there are organizations, there is about 6 or 7 of them right now in California that take the food waste and compost it. And it's known as the black gold, by the way, right? Because it's fantastic fertilizer for the farmers and so forth, and very much in demand. Again, the idea was to do something about methane, right? The generation.
I get that.
And food is the thing. Now, this is going to be a different bin, and you have to put your food refuse in that bin. Eventually, in 2015, if they catch you that, for example, you have bags of nylons in it and so forth, you will be fined. And it starts at $500 for the first time.
Okay, thank you.
Carmen?
Yes. Hi, Greg. Regarding the balcony safety inspection bill, who will do the inspection? Do you know how this process starts? Do we get notification from the city in terms of them coming and inspecting that? And then there seemed to be a caveat that if the walkways or the railings are of wood material, they are subject to inspection. What if they're iron?
No, they're
like
not.
the balcony?
Right. In fact, they changed to iron and concrete steps, right, in the new version of things. And the reason they do that is because of the fire protection that concrete and iron provides versus a wood or wood-like product on walkways and the staircases. The one that does the inspection is an engineer or an architect, duly licensed in the state of California. And that you have to have at your possession at all times, by the way. And the idea behind it is, so if there is a fire, right, or if there is an earthquake, the way in which a tenant on the second floor can get out is not cut off from his or her unit.
And this will be a structural engineer, I would think, correct?
The literature calls for an architect and or an engineer.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, common sense says that it's a structural engineer, but it needs to be done once every 6 years, right? Starting 2024 or 2025.
Thank
But
you.
look, this is for units of 3 units and above, right? By the time you want to hire an engineer to look at your unit or your client wants to do that, believe me, it'll take a few months, right? And if you have to do work in the city of Glendale, it will take you about a year or so more to be able to get the permits to complete the work. I've seen it done, and it's a very, very important safety issue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Napolitano?
Yes, and number one, Greg, thank you again for keeping us up to date on so many things that are coming up. That is great content for our meetings, and hopefully we can get more people to attend because of the kind of update. I just want to throw out there, be aware that yesterday, I guess it was last night, the state just voted drought restrictions in, and pretty severe, even though we've got we had lots of rain and we got a lot of snowpack up there, but I don't know quite how that's going to affect us yet in the city. But I know Burbank, for one, is on a 1 day a week watering. I don't know what Glendale's rule is at this time.
It's 3 days a week, Mike.
3 days.
And no more than 10 minutes, and it's I think odd days. So that's what Glendale is on right now.
So we will see more from that. Thank you.
Yeah, and by the way, for the last month and a half, my sprinklers have been off, period. And I think the general rule is that if you've had rain, for every day of rain, you can have your sprinklers off for 3 or 4 days. So, I mean, that's what I do.
This says 48 hours after the last rain.
Yep.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Greg, as always, you can bring us great information, things that we can actually use in our transactions. So I appreciate it, and I wish you a very happy 2022.